Hello, everybody, and welcome to our programming challenge. Today is day 11, and today we will be talking about tuples. So, welcome to day 11 of the 100 Days Python Programming. My name is Fumilayo, and in this video, we'll go through everything tuples, how you can create tuples, what kind of operation can be done with tuples. If that sounds like something you're interested in, let's begin. Welcome to day 11 of the Python programming. It's day 11, and today we will be talking about tuples. I'm sure you must have heard of tuples before, and if you have not heard about it, you're in luck because today we will be diving into everything tuples. What are tuples, you might ask? It is a collection of items in Python that are ordered and immutable. What do I mean by immutable? Once you have created your tuple, you cannot change them, and they are used to store multiple items and single variable items, and they are similar to list, except that in lists are mutable. You can change, you can update a list, while tuples cannot be modified. So they are unordered, they are immutable, and they allow duplicates. Remember, set doesn't allow duplicates, but tuples allows duplicate item. So now let me show you how you can create a tuple. Tuple is defined by using the closed element in a parenthesis. So once you have elements in parenthesis, that is a tuple. So this is an example of creating a tuples. We have our parenthesis, and then we have different strings element in our parenthesis, and that makes up a tuple. So tuple, this is our variable name, my tuple, and we're defining the variable name. So we have in parentheses, and we have apple, we have banana, and we have cherry. And then we print out our tuple. So this is how we get the tuple. So you might be wondering that, is it possible to create tuples without a parenthesis? That can we have tuples without parentheses? The answer is yes. And still using, this is like the tuple we would use throughout our code. So if I remove the parentheses, and then when I run this, you still have apple, banana, and cherry. So you can use tuple without parentheses, but it is more readable to use them with the parentheses. And also you might ask that, is it possible to have an empty tuple? Yes, it is possible, but why would you need an empty tuple? Maybe you're defining it at first, but it is possible to have an empty tuple. So if I print empty tuple, and then when I run this, we have our empty tuple. And then you might also be thinking that, is there a limit of element that I can have in my tuple, that if I have one, would there be a problem? If I have 100, would there be a problem? No. You can have as much element as you want in a tuple. But what really makes it a tuple is that it is comma separated. The element in your variable has to be comma separated. Like this is a tuple. If you remove the comma, it is not a tuple, it is just a string. So it has to be comma separated to make a tuple. And then when we print single tuple, let me put back the comma and run this, you have your tuple. If I print without the comma, you have a string. So adding the comma indicates that it is not a string, it is actually a tuple. So now we have seen how you can create tuples without parentheses, how you can create an empty tuples, how you can create single element tuples, separating it from a string. Then let's access the elements that are in our tuple. Still using the same tuple that we created. I'm going to say tuple like 100 times. So if you want to access like the first element in the tuple, you are using index. So this is index 0, index 1, and index 2. So if I want to access the first element, this is how I would do it. I would say print my tuple, and then this is how I specify the index that I want it to select. So 0 because I want apple, If it's 1, I want banana, and if it is 2, I want cherry. And when I print this, we get apple. And then if I want to get cherry, and then I print this, I get cherry. So by specifying the index, you're able to access your tuple element. If you want to get the last one, and maybe you have like 1,000 elements in your tuples, and you want to get the last one or more, or you don't even know the total number that you have, and you want to get the last element, you use -1 to get the last element, and then when you run it, you get cherry. That is how you get the last element on your tuple. Next, we have slicing. It is possible to slice through your tuples to access a range of elements. So still using our same tuple. And then if I want to slice it, I would say print my tuple and then the index that I want to slice it from. So I want to slice it from 1 up to 3. So slicing it from 1 is starting from 1 and then ending at the element before 3. So it's going to be in the range of 1 and 3. So it's going to start at 1, this is 0, this is 1, and the element before 3, which is 2, and this is 2. So when I print it, I will get banana and cherry. If you want to learn more about index slicing, there would be a video on that. So watch out for that. And tuples are immutable, like we said, that once we create them, we cannot change them. We cannot update them. Let me show you an example of this. Imagine I want to change an element in a tuple. So I want to change the index 1. Index 1 is our banana. I want to change it to an orange. This would not work. I will get an error. So when I run this, see, I get an error. So because tuple doesn't support the atom assignment, that means I cannot change what is in the tuple that I already created. Again, they are immutable. But if it was a list, you can change them, but you cannot change a tuple. So what are then like the methods, the things you can perform with a tuple if you cannot change them? You can perform simple methods like you can count, you can check the index, let me show you how you can count. So now by using the count, I want to count the number of times that the number 2 occurs in my tuple. So if I run this, you can see 2 occurs 1, 2, and 3. So by using the count method, it returns the number of times a specific value occurs in the tuple. So when I run this, you see 3. If I change this to 4, for example, and then run this, 1, because 4 occurs once in my tuple. So then the other thing that you can do is to return the index of the first occurrence of a value. So if I want to check the occurrence of for example, 2, the first occurrence of it. So still using the same tuple that I made, but instead of count, I will then use index. And let's see, 4, since 4 is already in there. And then when I run it, you see it's 5. So let's count 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is the index of the first occurrence of a specific value. Let's try it for 2 because we have multiple instances of 2. So then if I run this, 1, so you say 0, 1. So this is the first occurrence of a specific value. So the tuple method that we talked about in this tutorial is count and index. Count is able to return the number of times a specific value occurs in a tuple, while index returns the index of the first occurrence of the specific values. So those are the methods. There are other methods, you can check it out. So step 5, we want to do some concatenations, working with tuples. What are things that you can do with tuples? So then we can do concatenation. Let me imagine that you have 2 tuples and then you want to join them together to create another tuple. you can absolutely do that. So this is our two tuples. So we have the first one which has 1, 2, 3, and then the second one which has 4, 5, 6. And then you combine it using the plus icon to create another one. So it's not like we're modifying this, we're using both to create a brand new tuple. And then when I run this, we'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is how we do tuple concatenation, by using the plus icon. And then you might say like, oh, what if I have a tuple and then I want to like create repeating tuples from the tuple that I have? It is possible to do that. So imagine you have this tuple. We have apples and bananas, and then you want them to be repeated. You create a new variable, repeated tuples, and then my tuple times 2 by using this asterisk or this multiplication sign. And then when you print your variable, we would have apple appearing twice and banana appearing twice. So see, we now have apple, banana, apple, banana. So these are the two operations that can be performed with tuples. I believe there should be more, but these are the two that we are working on in this video. So converting between list and tuples. We've talked about list, we're now talking about tuples. Is it possible to convert it into a list? Absolutely, it is possible. So still using the same tuple that we've been using to the beginning. By doing it like this, we're able to convert it into a list. And then if I print my list and then I run it, see now it is a list. I remember the operation that we could not perform with the tuple, that we could not update it. Now let's try to update it, because now it's no longer a tuple, it is now a list. So I'll change this to a list. And then when I print my list and run this, this is our old list. And see, now we can update it. So you can see the clear difference between a list and a tuple, that you cannot change the elements in the tuple. While for list, if you try to change with tuple, you get an error. While for a list, you can update the element that is inside a list. So now you are thinking like nesting loop, nesting tuples. What are nesting tuples? That you can have a tuple inside another tuple. That is what is called nesting. So imagine you have 3 tuples inside a big tuple. So this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, and this big is then 4. So you can say we have 4 tuples here. And then you want to get an element in this tuple that we did earlier, that we're able to access the element. So let me show you how you would do that with a nested tuple. So I would print nested tuple, and then I want to access the first element. The first element is this. This is my first element in this tuple, which has an index of 0. And then nested, not nested. And then when I run this, we have 1 and 2. So what if I just want 2 and not the entire 1 and 2? So first thing, I've gotten the index of the tuple inside the tuple, and then I want to get the index of this. So that would make me add another square bracket, and then if we start counting, it's 0 and 1. And then when I add 1 here and run this, you get 2. So you see the first square bracket is for this position, 0, and then I want to get the internal element. I then add the second bracket, which is 0 and 1, and this is index 1. If I want to get 4, for example, then this will be 1, because this tuple is at position 1, and then 4 is at position 1 again. So when I run this, we should get 4. So this is how we deal with nesting tuples. Another method that you can do is to check if an element is in tuples or if it does not exist. So still using the same fruit tuple that we've been working with. I know it is so much methods involving tuple, same thing with list, with set, and the rest. So you just have to take it one at a time. You might not even need all of them, but it's just something to remember that these are the things that can be done with a list, these are the things that can be done with a tuple, and these are things that can be done with a set or dictionary or string, and so on. So the way to check if an element exists in your tuple is by using the int. To find in if does apple exist in tuple or does it not. So by using in or not in. So if I want to print this, I want to print apple in my tuple. And apple, it does exist. So when I run this, I get true. So now if I want to print, for example, berry is not in my tuple. So if I print berry in my tuple, I should get false because it does not exist. But if I want to check if berry does not exist in my tuple, I will not use in. I will use not in. That is, berry is not in my tuple. And if I run this, I get true. So to step 9, you can iterate over your tuple using a for loop. And let me show you, still using our same tuple. And then I want to iterate. This is the simplest way to iterate. I would say for fruit in my tuple and then print fruit. And if I run this, it should print each element in the tuple. So you can iterate over a tuple. You can check for membership. You can have nesting tuples. You can convert between a list and a tuple. You can perform tuple concatenation. You can also perform repeating tuples. You can count. You can also find the index of the first occurrence of a specific value. You can slice, you can access, and you can have single elements, you can have empty tuples, and you can create tuples with or without a parenthesis. So those are all that we talked about on today's tutorial of tuples. And these are some practice questions that you can try out and leave your solution in the comment section. And also leave a comment on how you've been enjoying the tutorial so far. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and what you absolutely hate. And I'll see you tomorrow. That is it for this video. Do not forget to subscribe, like, and leave a comment. And as always, the link to the Jupyter Notebook is in the description, so check it out and let me know what you think of our video so far. We're going. Thank you. Bye for now.